Well, hi there. We are having a discussion today. It's not a regular episode that you're used to. It's kind of a discussion that we all thought on our team we should have. And what we're going to talk about is the trending new controversy or story about the Coldplay affair that has been revealed, I guess, online. And everybody's talking about it. And as a team that is, behind the scenes and um, as people who feel responsibility towards our clients, of course, but also towards everyone else out there who has been exposed to this story and even the characters in the story, we feel that we just couldn't stay quiet. We felt it's our responsibility to bring a very, very different conversation about it. So the conversation that has been happening in the last couple of days, because it's only been out for 2 days, millions and millions and millions of people are talking about it from more of a gossip angle, like, look at them, we caught them, and, mean jokes about them, tons of memes. I don't even know how many I've seen already. And we wanted to bring something else, more of the reality that is behind those stories, that we feel is a little more responsible conversation that should come from people who do this every day. And so that's definitely going to be the angle we are going to talk about. I want anyone who's ever been involved in the aftermath of infidelity, maybe hopefully including those characters who are in this story. I want them to feel protected by what we are going to talk about today. So we're we're going to introduce ourselves. I'm Edie Chironi. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. And I own Relationship Experts, which is a private practice that specializes in infidelity and affair recovery. And we've been doing this for more than a decade, working with couples who want to stay together after infidelity, helping them. We have a program that we actually do this. It's a coaching program. And so throughout the years, we probably had the privilege of working with hundreds of couples. And we really feel that we know the backstory. We know what people go through. And so we feel responsible in this case to not just stay back. And, sometimes as therapists, that's our job. You stay back, you stay quiet, and you just help. But we all felt that it's our job to, no, we cannot stay quiet on this. So, yeah, Elle, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm so glad that we're having this conversation. It's such an important one. Let me briefly introduce myself. I'm Dr. Yael Niego. I'm the clinical director in our practice, and also a affair recovery specialist, as like you did. I worked with couples in the aftermath of infidelity, and we see the humans behind the horrific stories. So I think it's such an important conversation for us to have this morning.
Anna?
Yes, absolutely. I also agree with both of you. This is a very important conversation to have, especially from our angle. And yeah, just to introduce myself, my name is Ana de la Cruz. I'm one of the senior therapists here and one of the coaches in the It's Okay to Stay program. And I also specializes in infidelity recovery and couples therapy.
Yes. Okay. So, yeah, you're talking to three minds who've been doing this for more than a decade, with a lot of experience and a view to what people really, really go through. And so we want to discuss that. Um, I call this whole, even thinking about how do we introduce this topic, bearing in mind that there are human beings behind this, and we're not just adding more to, the this shaming, and we're not just kicking them as they're going down even more. It's so I was even thinking, should we even bring up their names? Should we even, but just for reference, we're talking about the Byron Cabot affair caught on a Coldplay concert in Boston a couple of days ago. And I call it a relational atomic bomb. Why an atomic bomb? So when a couple finds out about infidelity, it's usually like a bomb has just gone off, right? People are devastated. But what most people have is the ability to contain that bomb, that explosion inside their relationship. And so most people either choose not to share it with anyone, or they choose who they want to share it with. Yes, there are some cases where, you share it because you feel so enraged and so emotional. And so sometimes you're going to share it with a lot of people, and then you're going to feel like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? But still, there is some level of control over who knows about it. This case, it's not a regular bomb, it's an atomic bomb because the whole world literally knows about it. I mean, it was discovered in the middle of a Coldplay concert. Okay, these people have thousands of people in the audience. They're probably the most famous band in
Out
the
there, yeah.
universe, right out there right now. And so this, unfortunately for that couple, was revealed in front of everyone. It was on camera, so people were able to continue to publicize it on social media, and it ran from there. I don't think there's one person in the universe, or at least the ones that are connected to social media, who doesn't know about it. The fact that both of them have high profile jobs in a high profile tech company. So, again, adds to amplify. They're not just regular people, they're like, big shots. And both of them are married. So I think that's like, unfortunately for them and for everyone involved in this, their families, this ends up being like the perfect storm or the perfect recipe for a story to explode. And they've lost their ability to have any privacy, the ability to, I mean, it's really very, very devastating. Um, your thoughts?
I'm thinking about, the massive exposure, right? So you're talking about social media. I read somewhere that within 24 hours, they had over 50 million views, which is crazy to me, on social media platform, especially TikTok and X. And I also saw it on news pages and channels, so which blew my mind as well. So the people interest in it and almost like gloating and happy to see, oh my God, you committed a crime, so you deserve it. So the exposure plus the judgment and shaming created such, like you call it, atomic bomb. It's atomic bomb that keeps exploding.
Yeah,
And I can only imagine the impact it has on so many different levels that we're going to talk about today for sure.
yeah,
Right. And, recovering from infidelity, I mean, we have seen it. It's complex and difficult already within the closed doors that you mentioned, right? And this case, it's betrayal, but at the same time, it's exposed to the entire world. So there is something when infidelity plays out in the public eye, like it adds all these layers of shame, confusion, and loss of control. And so I cannot imagine what it is right now to be in their shoes.
Yeah.
actually, I think we can imagine. I mean, probably the three of us can probably imagine a lot of what they're going through
Yeah.
because we've seen it happen. But you're right, Anna. The part we cannot imagine is what happens when your business is out there for everyone.
Everybody to watch.
And I think this is like the quickest trial on earth. It's
Yeah.
like it took people 30 seconds. I don't even know how long this video is, but that's the trial. There's no judge, no jury.
Yeah.
There are only verdicts, verdict after verdict after verdict, and these people are being judged. Now, by all means, this has to be clear. None of us condones affairs. We do not think that what was going on there is okay. I pretty much, you know what, actually, I don't know this, but at least for us, our stance is that betrayal is wrong.
Right.
And that if you're in a monogamous relationship, then part of the agreement between the two of you is that you're each other's person and they're not going to be anybody else involved romantically with you. And so this is definitely a breach of that agreement, and we're against it. We're not saying, oh, you guys, no big deal. We're not saying that. What we are saying is there is a huge problem, in my opinion, when we all of a sudden become the judges of other people.
Hmm.
And we do that so quickly. Like you watch a video and boom, you have a verdict. It's already, and it's not like you keep it to yourself. We keep on spreading it online, which is another, judgment. We keep adding memes to it. We keep talking about it. You look at the comment sections, they are just horrific
Terrific. Yeah.
with, jokes about them and gloating. The gloating is really heartbreaking. Like how people literally put themselves on a pedestal because all of a sudden they have someone to step on. It's
Yeah.
like they use this couple as a leverage, as someone they can step on in order to bring themselves up. It's almost like you enjoy doing this. It's like the sense of, I am superior. I am so good. And they are not. Which to me, I think it's dangerous that people do that and they do that so quickly. But, this is not judgment so much towards other people. It's just really warning, maybe a warning or a request for everyone out there to just wait a second, okay? Um, look at maybe look at what happens in the world. Maybe look around. I'm pretty sure if you hadn't experienced infidelity, I'm pretty sure you know someone who has.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure this is not something that you've never seen, right? You
Right.
you were exposed to infidelity before. Maybe you have even loved one who's been in that situation before. The judgment, the gloating, the putting yourself on a pedestal is not helpful. And so maybe what you want to do is take a step back, stay quiet for a minute or two, or even more. And when you have something thoughtful to say it. But just vomiting whatever comes out of your mind just to put yourself on as if you're like pure and good and there's nothing wrong with what you do. It's just look at them. That's just drives me crazy. And I think we do that as a society, especially, being able to see other cultures. The American culture is very much about purity and about good and bad and sometimes that's good, but in those situations it creates a situation as if there are two types of people, those who cheat and those who don't, and that is just not true, and we know this from experience, right?
Yes.
From
Years of experience.
years of experience of working with couples, with partners who are good people, sometimes in great relationships, who have an affair.
Yeah.
So there are no two groups. So forget about it. You're delusional about it. And so don't put yourself in that pure group. I'll never do this.
Right.
Edith, you talk about the quickest trial, and in the conversation before, I told you I see it as the digital court where
Yep.
everybody's sitting. And, when we think about it in a larger scale, how it impacts the trauma, how it impacts the repair potential to repair or the recovery process, how it impacts the well-being and mental health of everybody involved. So you have like this, huge scale of like this digital court where everybody's talking about it, everybody judging and everybody like shaming and bullying. So it's not just giving their opinion and judging. It's almost you see a lot of shaming and bullying out there. So I'm thinking about it, this impact on the healing process and the all individual involved, but it's sometimes you also see it in larger in smaller scales where friends and family judge and shame and bully and how it impacts the people are involved. And it reminds me the podcast that you had with Alana a few months ago, or even a year. I think it's episode 82, when you talk about shaming in the
Mm.
aftermath of infidelity and how people in closed doors saying, yes, you can heal and it's possible, but out there they they put all the opinion of, it's horrible, leave him, there is no way to heal afterwards. I would never do that. So, you want to think
Yeah.
about the differences between what people say in closed doors and out there and how it's so quick and easy to shame and bully. But there are human beings around, like human beings dealing with this pain. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's, I
Right.
guess, our culture at this point. We don't care about who's reading it. There, I'm not just thinking about these two people and their families. I'm thinking about anyone who's
yes.
ever been in this situation. And guys, I mean, this is not like a 2%. We're talking about anywhere from 20% of all couples to 70% of all couples. So I'm thinking probably somewhere down the middle. So probably
Mhm.
every second relationship has experienced some kind of betrayal.
Right.
Okay? Not just affairs, betrayal can come in various forms. So the idea of it's not me, it's them, I am the good, you're the those those things are very much more blurred than you would think. And just attacking, you're just writing your thing to feel good about yourself, you're actually not hurting Mr. Byron and Mrs. Cabot only or their families. You're hurting anyone else who's ever been in the situation, who is reading it and feeling shamed. That's
Right.
what you're doing.
Right. And a lot of people often forget that infidelity isn't just about a relationship breaking down, right? It's about a shattered identity, damaged reputation, deep grief. And in this situation, the pressure to respond and to explain before any healing can ever happen, right? So it's like these people are being cornered, being looked at, and at the same time, like we said before, this whole situation is very triggering to many of our own clients, right? I'm worried about some of my clients in this because this is like it's shining light into something that we know that it happens very common, but the world out there judges it so harsh and is not okay. But at the same time, like you said, we make that separation into I'm good. I would never get myself into
Yeah.
that situation, but you did, and therefore I have the right to judge you. But it's not like that. We're all gonna fail as human beings. We're all gonna fail at some point in our lives. Some people are going to do it in their relationships, others are going to do it in finances, others are going to do it with their kids, right? But that doesn't define who you are. What really defines who you are is what you do after. Because after we make a mistake, we have an opportunity to look back, to reassess, to take responsibility, to learn, to grow and become better versions of ourselves. And that
Yeah.
is the part that nobody talks about here.
Absolutely. And that brings me to my next thought about, what these two hurt partners are going through. But before I get there, you said something really important. I want maybe each one of us to say something. You said, I'm really concerned about our clients.
Mhm.
Give your message to your clients.
Absolutely. This could be, one of those fingers that go and poke the wound that is already hurting inside of you. So protect yourself. Protect yourself. Remember who you are. Remember the work you are already putting into place. Um, and also know that you're not alone, right? This couple was exposed, but maybe your case was not exposed, but you can see other people are also going through something very similar and very painful and very disturbing, just like you are. And so hang in there, hang in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have
Yeah,
something
yeah, of
for
course.
your
And I think,
clients?
yeah, I told you this is the first thing that came to my mind, right? Like I saw all those memes and all those videos and people mocking and shaming and bullying. And immediately what I thought about, like my past clients, my present clients, and even my future clients, because we're seeing the human beings behind it. We're seeing how painful and how traumatic and how overwhelming and reality shattering this experience and how fragile the healing process is. So I'm thinking of a client or a couple that I'm working with, and how fragile the process is. And then they hear something like this, it can be such a triggering
Mm.
experience, and everybody's talking about it and everybody have an opinion. Last night I went to a dinner with friends, and I was the only person that said, wait a minute, guys, like there are human beings here. Like, why are you so judgmental? Everybody talked about it, obviously. So
Mhm.
I'm imagining my clients sitting at a dinner party or meeting with friends or watching the news or I don't know what, sitting in the car together and hearing it. I can only imagine this, how triggering it is, how painful it is, how shattering it all over again. So I want my personal clients, our practice clients, present, past, future, to know we're here for them. We think about them, and we're sending our love and positive energies because I'm sure it's not an easy time for them right now.
Right.
Oh, yes. Well, I don't have much to say after those two beautiful. I mean, and thank you so much. Really, really. I'm thanking you for in the name of our clients and maybe the people who are listening to us that need to hear from responsible human beings that that they must be so triggered at this point. And maybe if you're feeling like they're going backwards, that we're here. Um, our podcast is here for you. We're going to do, I mean, of course, if you're a client, we're going to support you one on one. But if you're not, and you're just listening to this, I really hope we help lift you up a little bit and give you some, breathing air to just be okay through this really, really horrific experience that is just happening worldwide. Okay, so let's talk about, we are talking about what these people are going through, what they're going through, but for those of us who are listening and really are just not sure, what is the big deal? Like, what are they going through? And I think that, if I go to my mind, not as a therapist, but as someone who's just reading gossip, I'm thinking I see these two people. I immediately feel like, oh my God, I can't believe this. How stupid, why would you hug in a concert? And then the next thought I'm thinking, oh, they must each one run to their homes and their respective spouse is going to have a huge fight with them and they're going to leave the house. And that's it. That's where it ends for me from that gossipy um, thought. But then as a therapist, we know the behind the scenes. We know what these people are going through right now. It's going to take weeks and weeks and weeks and months for them to, I mean, that roller coaster that they've gone into now, that huge crisis that they're experiencing. And if we just take, one of the couples, doesn't matter which one, but this is a crisis that, of course, is mainly experienced by the hurt partner, but it's not just the hurt partner. It's a two people crisis. We always talk about it with our couples, you know. Yes, there's no way to compare between the unfaithful partner's crisis and the hurt partner's crisis, but still both people are in crisis. And their feelings are all over the place. And they're feeling, I love you and I hate you at the same time. And enraged and, and all of those things sometimes can happen at the same time. And sometimes they feel like I'm leaving and then, well, maybe I should stay. All of those things. Those couples, like we said in the beginning, are experiencing this as on steroids because everybody else knows about it. And I just remember, I think it was yesterday, somebody said, or very immediately after this, Mrs. Byron removed her last name from her Facebook account. And I'm like, most people think, oh, she removed it because she's leaving him. She doesn't want his last name. And I was thinking, maybe she removed it because she doesn't want to be found, because she wants her privacy, because she doesn't want you in her business. And so she's going to use her maiden name because that's what's going to give her a little bit of privacy in that world. So it's really what the hurt partners are going through right now is a huge campaign of shaming.
Yeah.
And our thing in relationship experts is the shaming. No wonder we called our affair recovery program It's Okay to Say. And part of it is because we see the shaming that is happening, even if you're not a famous couple, right? We see the shaming. We see it in Facebook groups. We see it online. We see it everywhere. We see it by, siblings telling their sibling that was betrayed, when are you going to get that divorce already?
Yeah.
Right? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you? So the pressure and the shaming of someone who dares to even think about staying with a betraying partner is enormous. So I'm only thinking about Mrs. Byron and Mr. Cabot. I don't know if that's his last name. The huge amounts of shame that these two people must be going through right now, with the judgment from everyone in the world. Leave him, leave her. You don't stay. Well, what does it say about you if you stay with someone that cheated on you? You must have such small self-esteem. Don't do that. It's the me era. It's like, you're strong. Leave him. Go. And without understanding that, hey, there's history, richness, layers, so many things to a relation. It's not a flip of a on and off. There's so much more to consider here.
Right.
And they're not here to satisfy your need. They're not here for you to say, leave him, and for her to leave him, and for you to say, no. They're living their own private lives, and they're doing what's going to be good for them and for their children, if they have children, and for their relationship. They're not here for you. So remember that,
Yeah, and we did, when you talk about the crisis, that they're like the hurt partners and also the unfaithful partner and the affair partner, right? But they're also their families, right? Their kids, their siblings, their parents, their friends. It's a huge system that impacted by this public exposure. And what I feel, it's like, because we have this almost right to say our opinion or to judge people just because they're exposed in the media. So it's almost the dehumanized, and like we don't see that there are humans with past memories, experiences, and then this exposure, as you said, impact their decision whether they want to stay or don't want to stay. And if they decided to stay, it impacts the actual healing process. And again, I think we see it as an example. We can talk about this case as is, but we can also see it as example, like you said, how many different factors and variables impacts people in general, right? Like in general healing process. So this is, again, as I said earlier, in larger scale, but we see it every day in smaller scales. And people have the ability to decide, I don't want my kids to know. I don't want my siblings to know. I don't want my parents to know. I don't want my neighbor to know. But now they lost that privilege. Everybody feeling that they have opinion and they can be involved in their healing process, that they're almost just the figures in this drama that we all take part.
Yep.
Right. Betrayal already disrupts not only the relationship, right? It's like a ripple effect. It affects the family, the children, the friends. Like you said, it's this atomic bomb, right? It shakes your sense of safety. It wounds your self-worth. It distorts our understanding of truth, right? And when all of this unfolds in the public eye, like the confusion, the shame, and the pain, they're just like amplified, like whoosh. So my heart goes out to them.
Yeah,
Right? My heart goes out to them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what do you, if we could think about some things for, to tell, let's say they're listening, and I really hope, that it actually gets to them in some way. I know a lot of people who go through the aftermath of infidelity find our podcast. And so I do hope that they find it or that somebody brings it to them. If they're listening to us, the two people that were caught in their affair, their spouses, what would you, what message do we have for them?
Anna, do you want to go?
I was going to say, you want to go first? Yeah, I think that even in this deep darkness, right, there's hope. Healing takes time. It takes grace and often the courage to rebuild, not just trust in another person, but trust in ourselves, right? So for them and for anyone that is walking through this kind of pain, remember you're not alone. Right now, this is a glimpse that this is more common than what we think that it happens, right? And though the path is hard, because it's not going to be easy, not for you, not for the other one, restoration is possible, and we're here, right? And I hope that if they decide to stay and to heal, I pray that they find the right experts that will guide them through a roadmap so they can find healing and they can find peace and harmony once again. Right. So that's my message to them.
Yeah. I also have a message, I'm not even thinking, I think it's just so much crisis right now. So I'm not even thinking about healing for them yet. Yeah. It's just this, like we said, a bomb went off and now they're just reeling from that experience. The best advice I have for them is to keep their privacy as tight as possible and really vet who is going to be in their ear. It has to be, these people have to be chosen, and they have to be people that are non-judgmental, that are there to hear them without judgment, listen to their pain without throwing advice at them. And people who are for them, for their relationship, and not have that leave him, go this, do that, no, leave her, blah, blah, blah. I don't even know if the two people in the affair want maybe to continue with the affair and leave their respective partner. We don't know anything. And so your privacy right now, it's like literally keep it as much as you can. Get off of social media. Don't even open it because it's disgusting what's going on there. And it should not impact anything that you're going through. You shouldn't care about what Joe Schmo has to say about anything. It's none of anyone's business. It's you. You are the only ones who are responsible for what you want to do and how you want to do it. Like Anna said, it is possible to heal, but maybe that's not what you want yet.
Yeah.
So just shield yourself, choose carefully, carefully vet. And when I say vet, I talk about this a lot. How do you pick the right support system for you? And one thing I'll say, sometimes it doesn't have to be from the closest circle because your people who are really, really close to you are also the most defensive of you. And for them, it's really, really hard to not be judgmental,
Yeah.
right? So they could be the most non-judgmental person on earth, but because you're their daughter, it's going to be very difficult for them just because of that reason. So, but sometimes that's not the case. I'm just saying, just make sure. I mean, don't just look for people who are really close to you, but people who really you've been able to trust before. And in their case, these people also have to be people that can keep a secret, that are not going to go out, that are not going to post anything, that are not going to tell just their best friend, because you've had enough business out there. You don't need any more of that.
Yeah. I have a message too. I think the most important thing for me to emphasize is for people to acknowledge that this is a traumatic event. And I think my clients who know me and the people who listen to our podcast, I talk about it a lot, acknowledging that this is traumatic event with all the symptoms that we know. And if you acknowledge that it's traumatic event, you're going to treat it as such on the individual level and on the relational level. So we talked a lot about the relational part, but also the individual part of to take care of yourself and pay attention to what's going on for you as individual in this midst of like crazy storm. It adds a very, I say, thick layer of trauma, as we mentioned several times here. So you want to be mindful to take care of yourself on the most basic level. Sometimes I tell my clients, just make sure that you eat well, that you drink enough water, that you sleep well, that you go outside and spend some time with friends or in the sun. So because this is traumatic event, this is such a shock and trauma to the system. I've had clients before that their affair became public for different reasons, even like they're public figures or like someone put it on Facebook or whatnot. I always told them, let's create this cocoon that protects you, that protects your healing process, like create this atmosphere that can allow this healing. So this is before even we talk about healing, let's create the cocoon, right? Like
Right.
there is a metaphor that I always use with my clients that when we broke a bone, so we put a cast, the cast doesn't heal the bone. It just create the atmosphere, right? It just create the placement for everything to be in place so we can actually start heal. So
Right.
I think the main message for me, acknowledge that this is huge trauma and create this cocoon that allows you slowly to recover
Yeah. Yeah.
on the individual and relational level.
Now that you're talking about this, another thing comes to mind, which I think is just as important, is to remember that the situation or your problem right now is a relational problem. And don't let anyone, including any therapist or professional, tell you that it's an individual problem,
Mhm.
because that's the main message today, right? It's like an affair is revealed or infidelity, and we try to find the individual problem, or he has the problem because there's something wrong with him, like a mental health disorder or a personality problem, and she has the problem because blah blah blah. And then from there, what we're going to do is we're going to treat him for his problem, sex addiction, whatever it's called, the problem that this person has. And we're going to treat her for trauma, for the inability to move on. That's usually what, our world that we're kind of fighting through this podcast and through, to understand that you cannot apply individual solutions to a relational problem. I'm going to repeat that. You cannot apply individual solutions to a relational problem. This is not a he problem or a she problem. This is a relational issue that needs a relational solution. So if you're ever going to work on this, just remember that it's, you're going to have to work as a team. And even if you decide not to work on this, you still have to be that team and make whatever decisions you're going to make as a couple and not as two individuals just, working in their own fields. That's my message.
Yeah. And these
Anything?
things happen at the same time, right? Like you want to be able to strengthen yourself as individual because you need to have the emotional capacity to deal with such trauma. So yes, I agree with you, Edith. If a couple decide to stay together, they need to work in a relational work while they're attending to their own symptoms
Yeah,
and strengthening
right, right,
themselves.
right.
Because,
Yeah. So what's next for this couple remains hopefully their business.
yeah.
Um, whether they're going to stop the affair and, decide to heal their relationships with their spouses, or they're going to continue the affair and actually turn it into the main relationship and end their marriages. Or whether they're going to do something else that, third option I'm not thinking about.
Yeah.
But really, really what I wish for them is that it stays their business and for us to be able to move on to the next scandal, and for them to become anonymous again.
Yes.
That's my message. Anything else you
Old
want to
news.
add?
Wishing them the best. That's it. I love what
Yeah.
Yael said. Focus on the basic. Breathe, eat, sleep, and find yourself a good companion. Maybe a puppy, right? Something that you can hug. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure if they have pets, it helps. Okay, so that's our message to whoever is hearing us or watching us that is experiencing the aftermath of infidelity. Don't let those things impact you or shame you. There's so much beyond that, and we really do wish you all the best. And I hope this is helpful to someone.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Bye. Have a
Bye.
good one.